Postseason is upon us here at NECC, and these collegiate teams all looking for a spot at the top. It is semifinals week, Jesse, and the very last one that we are going to see before we head into a bit of a holiday break. It is Overwatch time, and our semifinals for Division 3 and Division 9 will be taking the spotlight tonight.
Yeah, we're stepping away from the top divisions here. Division 1, Division 2, they're in the background. Division 3 to start. And then we're going all the way to Division 9. That game is surely going to be something to feast on here tonight.
Oh, it's going to be so much fun. I really love when you get to highlight these, both the up-and-coming divisions, but also the ones that are playing at a club to get used to what esports is and all the fun benefits that it is as a college student. It's really a great experience. And that's something that I think not a lot of people remember, is that esports, yes, it's very competitive. You want to be at the top, but there are also a lot of ways for students to be involved that it's just for fun. It's a great extracurricular activity. You can get great experience from it. You meet some really fun people. But today, we are going to focus on our bubble teams, as we like to call them. First, in Division 3 for a semifinal will be Endicott College taking on UNC Greensboro for game number 1.
Yeah, and this is in Division 3, a semifinal. Endicott going into this as one of the top seeds here in this bracket. The top seed. They are undefeated going into this game, 7-0 in the regular season, and then they swept NC State Black just last week. So obviously feeling pretty good about their chances going into tonight. On the other side, Greensboro 5-2 in the regular season, 6-2 now that they won last week's quarterfinal, and that was over Penn State White 3-1, who Endicott beat 3-2. So that, you think maybe Endicott's still a slight advantage going into this game, but it's definitely not out of the woods here. I think Greensboro definitely has a chance here to pull the upset.
I think something to really point out for UNCG, too, is that they have 2 losses their whole season, one of which is a forfeit, so they didn't technically play, so we can't really say how that would have gone. And the second one was the very first week of the season. So it was a lot of, we're getting used to these things, we're kind of getting our feet wet, figuring out what will work best for the comps and the teams. Now that we are very deep into our postseason, you got a good idea of what's going on, you know what to expect, and you're faced off yet again against a brand new opponent. So that's what both these teams are going to be heading in with today. We do have map number 1, I believe, that has already been selected as a classic. Any guesses, people? It's Lijiang Tower. I'm just going to spoil it for you. Our favorite map here on the NECC broadcast, and continues to be every single week.
I was going to say, when we were doing OWC these last 2 weekends, it was so weird because Lijiang wasn't even in the map pool. We're like, where is our Lijiang Tower? Where's our control center? Where's Gardens? And it was so weird. We spent a lot of time in Greece during those control maps over the last 2 weekends, but it's nice. We get to return home to Lijiang Tower here. More than likely a lot of dive going into this, depending on where the maps, the bands, I should say, kind of lay out. But also, once we get to Control Center, maybe we get to see the Ramacha. We even saw a little bit of Maga this past weekend, which, if you've been following us for a while, yeah, Maga can either be great or Maga gets burned. You know, it's kind of one of the two.
Glass cannon. Like, that's all that we can say about that pick. And like, whenever he's meta, it's weird, because it's like it's all about the ultimates. There's not much that happens in the neutral, and it feels almost like goats. Exactly. Like, there's not a ton of skill expression in those types of comps. It's just down to a lot of the macro and your team planning and your overall team play. Might get a little bit of that today, but since teams tend to lean more into faster comps, since those often are harder to counter at various levels, I think that's where we see a lot of our, I'd say, top 3 divisions tend to go towards if they have a choice. However, we're not really at that point either, where I think you have to run a hard meta. I think you're still pretty open in what you can choose. Freya's still really strong. Ashe got a lot of buffs a bit recently for some of our hit scan players who might have been missing out on that too. So there's a ton of options, especially with an open map pool.
Oh yeah, and even Echo's been getting a lot more playtime recently, and I don't know, Echo is very fun, to play, but also can be great against some of these tanks that can be a little bit hard to chunk down once you use that beam. Yes, your Divas, your Amachas, your Magas of the world. Sometimes that punish can be a little bit easier once they get to that half health mark. So we'll see if Echo kind of gets played a little bit more. But like you said, On the other side, yeah, Ashe got buffed. So one of Echo's best counters also got buffed. So that's, I think, kind of hurt Echo's play a little bit still. She could be in a fantastic spot. But we'll see here tonight what we're going to see. And obviously, still, Wooyoung is great. It really depends on what composition you're running. But we are still seeing a lot of Wooyoung. He just, I won't lie, feels like a better Allari. Like,
he does.
He really does feel like a better Allari. But honestly, we'll probably still see a lot of Lucio and Kiriko because we've seen a lot of that. And okay, well, the manga's banned out right away, so we won't get to see the glass cannon right away. And it's far on the other side.
We just had to bring it up to make sure that it was on the players' minds, you know, and yeah, so that's gone. The Pharah, I think that makes a ton of sense here too, and Lijiang Tower, one of her best control maps, if you really think about it. You don't really want to worry about somebody that is in the sky when you're trying to play more on the ground, so completely understandable from both sides today, as it looks like we'll be preparing to head into map number 1 momentarily. I do want to give a bit of a shout out for Endicott College too. I know their coach, Voidex, shout out him. We played on the same collegiate team for a while, and I can tell you, this guy, he takes his composition seriously. He makes sure that his team is communicating and whipped into shape. So I'm really going to be looking towards Endicott College for that piece in particular. I do believe it was their map pick, as they are the higher seed going in, and they had the first ban coinciding with it. If the Roadhog does stick, Jesse, this Malga ban would make a ton of sense.
Yeah, the Maga ban, yeah, it definitely makes sense. They want to just completely dive in with this JQ and not worry about one of her best counters in the Maga. But this Chaos comp from Greensboro could give them a little bit of issues. I have a feeling Average Gamer, they could get ran over very quickly here.
Yeah, you cannot leave Average Gamer in the dust, and Cameron already knows that, sees the Wrecking Ball in the back line, and is opting to stick closer to the team. And look how that works out, making sure the rail shot can get charged. Tunnel Killer currently laying flat on his back. So UNCG Premier down a good amount of flanking power. Their composition does move so fast that it isn't going to matter a ton unless UNCG can fire back rather quick. But losing out on Budgie, that will ensure a full reset and an Endicott cap.
Yeah, Endicott cap, Hamilton eventually gets boofed off, and Enam, yeah, might as well take the extra little bit of ult charge, but there's a full comp swap anyways going on. I'm pretty sure Hamilton, yeah, is swapping off of the soundbar, going the more traditional Tracer, and now we got the full mirror, except for the tanks. Obviously, Cameruner is going to be trying to play a little bit more close and personal. Max, yes, is going to still deal with the JQ, but more looking for those squishies.
You're going to try to change places, but look at all this pressure that's just being chunked into Max. Budgie, early Suzu onto the tank just to try to keep him on his feet, which he will for the time being, but a good amount of cooldowns burn from UNCG Premier, and they just can't get through this choke.
Yeah, it's so hard, especially with this JQ. You have no way to really bait her out, and she's just playing so aggressive at the moment. And Cameruner already minor perk, and that'll be perfect timing for the ult.
Unstoppable Rampage is a huge thing to have to work with here, but they might even need it. Kairos, again, finding Tunnel Killer as he was attempting to flank around the back. This is kind of the early action that we like to see from Endicott. They're not allowing UNCG to make their own plays and have not had to use a single shiny button.
Yeah, the fact, yeah, no ultimates used so far by Endicott. Massive win for them, but now even UNC Greensboro, they're starting to build up those ultimates as well. If they want to finally get through this choke, they could use this Kitsune Rush to try and break through. The only issue is that they have, well, a Pulse Bomb.
Well, the Pulse Bomb is Suzu'd, but because the Suzu went out, Cameruner gets the Rampage that he was hunting for. It is even though Hamilton put in some serious work for UNCG. They want to try to win this out. That's a sound barrier, but it only hits onto Max and Visor as a result. And someone's got to get to the point for UNCG Premier. They're just not going to have the chance to do it. Kairos might be dead, but it's just Tunnel Killer heading to this point and looking to do something with this overclock, but this is an uphill battle. If I've ever seen it, does hit a couple of nice shots, gets the one onto Gone, yet no extended contest. Endicott clean sweep for round 1.
Yeah, incredibly clean there from Endicott to start off here on this Junker Clean, which we don't typically see a ton of. We've seen a few collegiate teams pick it up over the last few months, but it's kind of JQ, not in the best spot in this meta, but when you play her like this, like Cameruner is, he can make it work. 0 deaths so far for him and Average Gamer. Everybody else, so pretty decent stats. Gone has honestly played more of a supporting role. Haven't been super upfront. They only got, you see 3 eliminations. You're like, man, they're not doing a whole lot. But honestly, the whole time, they're just keeping Hamilton in check. And that allows your squishies to keep up your tank. And when Cameruner is playing as well as they are, that's all you need to do.
Everyone in Endicott is very well established in the role that their composition should be playing. And I think UNCG, they figured it out. They want to go more of a counter comp approach. Hamilton and Max on this Reaper Zarya combo that we've seen so much of, but it doesn't even get all that value. It's Tunnel Killer with the first 2 final blows. As a matter of fact, got him through the first choke, and finally he's able to show up and get that space. The Junker Queen's so afraid of Max's Zarya.
Yeah, the Junker Queen, once you see the Zarya, you just kind of have to pray you land some nice combos when the bubble is gone, and that'll mean an immediate swap for Cameruner, understanding that the JQ is just not going to work, and they will match the Zarya. So now the complete mirror as well, with Gone going over to the Reaper. Now these TP bubble strats, we're going to keep an eye out for those. Didn't have a huge impact first fight, but it could here.
A triple collat shot from Tunnel Killer. I just saw so many players on Endicott just drop the health bars to half. But yeah, eventually we'll rotate towards the far side, pushing through this white room. Never a good idea to push over the bridge, especially when a Lucio is present. Hamilton, that's Wraithform and Suzu out. Endicott winning this resource game for the time being, especially since Kairos has the advantage in terms of the Kitsune rush, but instead of being Tunnel Killer very early overclock. Doesn't even have half for average gamer. And yeah, it's cool, it's flashy, but even that doesn't stop Hamilton from going down. Cameruner got up to that choke point, and the Reaper not respecting the Zarya nearly enough. Endicott win the race to the Kitsune rush, so Kairos, they'll go ahead and lay that down. And average gamer will help push through with the rest of the team. Very well played from Endicott.
Yeah, Tunnel Killer just left all alone, and yes, a little bit of a stagger. That's really about it. But 55%, the first cap percentage of the game so far here for Greensboro. And Endicott, even like you said, average gamer keeping that little bit of a side angle, keeping Tunnel Killer at check, not as much poke as they would like. And now the Graviton Surge available here for Cameruner to maybe pair up with this overclock from average gamer if they can build it.
They have it, and because there's no sound barrier on the side, Max and Hamilton are just cooked along with the rest of the team. Endicott knew there wasn't a way to counter it. Great ult tracking on that side, so UNCG to be a full reset.
Yeah, full reset, and once again, Tunnel Killer actually won't be staggered out. Oh,
that's
no.
a yikes.
That, I don't know if they were trying to catch Kairos on their way out, or if that was a misclick, but overall, yes, they lose their best ult, and they lose Hamilton, so this fight will take even longer to start. Just an absolute disaster here for Greensboro.
Yeah, that's worst case scenario for Greensboro on that push. You do both support ults going in, so Budgie, she'll open the door with that, and instantly average gamer knocked into the dirt. Max can surge forward. There was just not an opportunity for Endicott College to respond at all. You know, I'm opted to hold on to the sound barrier, seeing how many members of his team have fallen already.
Yeah, so that's a nice little bounce back fight, especially once you lose a grab like that. It sometimes can be a little bit of a boomer, right? Like, oh man, we just lost our best ult. What are we going to do? But no, a very nice recovery there from the Spartans. And now, yes, they didn't have that sound barrier earlier, but now they have it to match the one of Enom. So this gives UNC a little bit of a chance here to win this round 2.
Early rate, though, out of Gone, but Kairos, that's all the healing that's instantly gone. The sound barrier will be the nail in the coffin for Endicott College. Instantly wiped off the face of the point with how quickly that Death Blossom react was.
I wonder if it was a little too early, though, because now Endicott will still have enough time to contest, even though it's going to be a little scuffed.
Oh, but they don't have Enom, that sound barrier. We're just not going to see it in this point. But because the tank is gone from UNCG, someone's got to clutch up. In this case, it will be Tep to be called kill, but gone. A triple kill on the Reaper. Does the dance of death, and somehow Endicott College going to clutch it out.
Nobody's looking at the Reaper, Molly. What happened? It's just a beautiful Death Blossom for an ult there. Usually, if you get one kill, you're happy with in this day and age. And now the fact they have a massive ult advantage going into this final fight, coincidentally enough, because Enom died.
Yeah, look at that. Enom lived, and this time we'll get the sound barrier off and the Graviton Surge on top of it. UNCG, it was their fight to lose. They lost it for the second time, and Jesse, there's just not going to be a touch.
No touch, and Endicott, maybe we'll feel like they got a little bit lucky here, or fortunate on this round 2, but overall, Endicott got a beautiful performance to start us off on Lijiang.
Gone better be getting a cookie after that Death Blossom.
Yeah.
He certainly deserves it. That would not have been the way that Gardens would have gone without it. And it does show that Endicott, when they do have control of this tempo and they can play fast, they'll do the most with it that they've been able to. But same thing goes for UNCG. It's just whichever team has been able to strike first is the one that has come out on top so far. And that's likely going to be a pattern as we go deeper into our series.
Yeah, especially these big alt fights. The fact that Endicott, a lot of the time, are getting the advantage has been a massive thing. And yeah, I won't lie. If you're Greensboro, you're kicking yourself after that second to last fight. Like, you got every advantage in the world. You kill the Lucio, you have an overclock on point, and the Reaper just sneaks on by because everybody's looking at the Zarya and kills all the squishies and gives Endicott a lifeline. But obviously not all doom and gloom. I still think UNCG had some bright moments, and now that at least, hey, the Maga is back into play, maybe we see that later on during this series. And also, it's their map pick now, so they at least have a lot more freedom on kind of what direction they want to go with these compositions.
On paper, too, Endicott, we determined to be the upper-handed team going into this particular game. So, but not by a large margin. It is a good thing to point out. So when we have things like the map pick and the bans in control of UNCG, I'm honestly expecting a much bigger turnaround because the first point wasn't close whatsoever.
No.
That was just great choke point holds that we got to see on the Junker Queen. The speed game was won. That's what happened. Got a bit closer on Gardens and honestly could have gone all the way to 3, but once we move to a different map type, Jesse, especially one like Hybrid or Escort, where these paces are going to change, that's really what I'm interested in. Because when Tunnel Killer, for example, got control of the reins here, it was UNCG all day, every day.
Yeah, I wonder if they feel good enough about how round 2 went. Do they want to keep up this fast pace, whether it be going to Reservasa, going to push, and just keeping up that fast-paced playstyle? Or, like you said, do they want to slow it down a little bit? Do they want to try and kind of figure out where they actually land in this series and maybe go to a Hybrid or an Escort? Neither team has really shown they want to play dive. I love it. We're kind of setting up Lijiang as dive heavy, and we saw nothing other than the ball for a round, and it got completely shut down. So I have a feeling we're leaning towards a lot of rush here tonight, so maybe not a Watch Point Gibraltar, maybe not a Blizzard World. Kind of taking those out of the equation, maybe going to more of like a King's Row, Shimbali Monastery, stuff like that.
It sounds a lot more likely where this is headed. We only really got to see the handful of tanks. Like, the Hazard was given a shot too, and it wasn't necessarily because the Hazard was being countered. I think it was literally just the position that we saw Max was trying to play from. You can't really jump that far or rather get space for your team, moving through that little tiny door on the Lijiang Tower Center. So going ahead, I think there are more options, but at least for Endicott, they very much like this Junker Queen. They like this Zarya. It seems that they're comfortable on both of these picks because they can control those choke points very, very well. So if it is something like a King's Row, I do fear slightly, especially from a defensive position, playing into that as UNCG. It sounds a little sketchy going forward, since if Endicott are given the opportunity to start first, that's what they've been doing.
Yeah, as soon as you give Endicott the reins, they're just going to run with it, right? Like, they have no hesitation once they are able to control what's going on in the game. So that, like you said, can be a little bit of a worry, and I have a feeling if we go to a Hybrid or Escort, for that reason, Endicott are going to pick to attack first, because they want to continue kind of this momentum that they have from Lijiang Tower. They don't want to allow UNCG to kind of steal it away on their attack first. We are still waiting here for the map and then followed up by the bans. Both of these teams, I believe, at least UNCG, have a little bit of a different roster that they can throw in. So that's maybe why. But yeah, it is King's Row. We're getting all the collegiate specials tonight, Molly, to start us off. And yeah, so this screams they want to keep playing fast, even though, yes, it'll be a little bit slower on point A. Once you get to streets, these fights just go.
Yeah. And I think this is fine. I don't think the brawl was that far apart once we hit the Zarya mirror. It's just kind of getting through a lot of those like heavily held defensive positions that can be a little scary. I do wonder if like the Reaper might hit a ban or something. It's because it's really strong with the Zarya, but it seemed like something both the teams were comfortable playing. I'm more interested in what like this hit scan DPS is going to be doing.
Yeah.
Because again, Tunnel Killer looked fantastic on the Sojourn. Are we going to stick on that? Are we going to move to the Ashe that we've seen start to pop up a little more? Both of which very strong picks on King's Row.
We've even seen a little bit of Hanzo as of late.
Oh, don't bring that up.
The Hanzo resurgence has been a little bit weird. I don't know. I wanted some logs tonight. But no, it's been a little weird kind of King's Row. It's been going through a little bit of a growth. It was like, oh, we're seeing a lot of Diva dive. And then over these last 2 weekends, like, oh, are we just back to like Ramatra and Orisa? And I would say Ryan, but you know, 5v5 has not done a lot of nice things for Reinhardt. And I won't lie, his perks are not great. So it is going to be that Reaper ban that you were talking about, taking away that option. The Kiriko from Endicott screams, hey, we want to play more JQ. So, bye-bye, Kiriko.
Yeah, I don't, like, do you want to play JQ into the, well, maybe you're not playing Zarya if you're choosing to ban the Reaper. There's kind of, like, this thing that has been going around that if you're playing Zarya without a Reaper, it's called, like, naked Zarya, so that you just don't really have that big bubble target to actually assist your team. And nothing's nearly as scary. It's just getting run at by this guy holding 2 massive shotguns to your head. So we'll see if that's where UNCG end up going. But in fact, it will be Endicott on the defense, as we kind of suspected would happen. It'll be Cameruner on the Diva. We talked about how the Diva has been a hero that is really, really good, but just hasn't seen as much playtime because of the Zarya. So pulling her here, especially on King's Row first point, where you can just move between all these high grounds, is a great choice for Cameruner.
Yeah, like you won't see Diva a lot of the times once we get to second and third phase, because then it gets a little more narrow, and especially the Zarya can really punish a Diva. But here in this first phase, we've seen just more and more Diva as of late, kind of bouncing between these high grounds. I really like this setup from Endicott, even with small Genji nerf that came in this week. And UNCG, not too much different. Obviously, Tunnel Killer trying to see if they can find anything early on. They will not. And they will go over to the Ashe. So that, yeah, we'd said, hey, we might be seeing a little bit more of Ashe. We will, as well as Amar, who is subbing in. Well, they were on the Pharah, but as soon as they saw this setup with the Ana, they decided to change it up a little bit.
Towards the Symmetra, which means he can keep up a little bit better with this dive, but I mean, even then, I love the max combo with Budgie's Juno. You can go so quickly at these targets, and I think that's exactly what happened to Yunam. Instantly caught out by a Diva flying at Mach 2 directly at his face. With that pick, Endicott, they're just going to retreat over to this high ground, playing passive, making sure they can take that full 5v5, just giving up a tick.
Yeah, giving up a tick, maybe 2, especially now that Kairo's got the kill and a Budgie. That'll be the go button.
Budgie going down here. Ton of healing now missing from UNCG. Max feeling that damage the worst, but somehow Kairos dies to the Brig of all players. I have to assume that's actually a teleporter from Amar into the backline. A wonderful move from him, completely caught Endicott off guard, and now actually meet the end of the defense, even without having Max in the Diva mech.
Yeah, beautiful TP there from Amar, just to allow UNCG to move up to that high ground and completely destroy the defense from Endicott. Over 5 minutes here for Streets phase, and now that we've got to the narrow part of this map, Cameruner will go off the Diva and onto that Zarya, and we kind of expected this, and I have a feeling Max, once they see it, might be thinking twice about this tank pick, but for now, they will take advantage, just trying to keep Kairos at bay and not allowing them or Average Gamer to get too much done on that high ground.
And Max saw that Zarya, is like, yeah, I don't know about that. Even it's
like, I'm good, man.
It's not really that fun to end up playing against. But Cameruner, a bit of an awkward spot. It's hard to hold this far up, especially since he used both of his bubbles pretty early on in that fight. UNCG, ideally looking for a Bob, actually into the backline here to try to buy some space. And now to boost onto Cameruner, attempting to shred out the Bob, which will end up doing, and zone Tunnel Killer, in fact, get Tunnel Killer out of the fight as well. So UNCG, they're hurting in this fight. Beautiful Bionate into the backline, landed to both Amar and Visor from Endicott College. Finally got that setup that they wanted, and we're going to see that Diva swap, I'm assuming, coming in if Cameruner gets this D-Mech.
Oh, especially, well, I got a feeling Max is swapping. That's why they're not afraid. Yeah, they haven't even remaxed, so they're running back to spawn. Yep, there's the Zarya pick. I honestly don't blame UNCG, right? Like, you want to play it out. Maybe you can still make it work with the Diva, but after one fight, it's just not worth it. Now, UNCG, they can use this Photon Barrier to kind of split this off and allow for this card to really move through the center of phase 2.
Yeah, but you know what doesn't care about Photon Barrier? A Dragon Blade that Gone has. But this time, actually, he is going to care. I take it back. We're going to hold the blade until that goes away, knowing that there won't be any healing to come through. You can even combo it up with the Sound Barrier if you want to get that aggressive. But you just have to Graviton Surge, throw that in. The Teleporter, though, that gets most of the team out of the way. Unfortunately, Max, the one caught from UNCG, the last person you wanted to die there, so the push is just dead.
Yeah, everybody got out except Max. So even though the TP was worthwhile, I think Tunnel Killer got stuck in the back. That was a very awkward spot for them to be in for Gone to find elimination, but fair play. UNCG now making a little bit more swaps. Really, hey, the sim not going to work. They're predicting it very well, and they're going to see if Average Gamer can actually line up the shots here with Amar going back to the farm.
But it's not easy to do. This is a great point for Farah, just playing around the rooftops. It actually catches Kairos a bit off guard. Will escape with half HP. The nano boost on and both support ult actually from Endicott College coming out, but no, it doesn't land onto Kairos, and Yunam falling shortly after. UNCG using the damage power of this orbital ray on Budgie to completely overwhelm 2 support ults. It'll be an even trade in that department, but Endicott College, they're just not going to get a good touch.
Yeah, no, this should be the end of second phase, and yeah, beautiful elimination there from UNCG. They find Kairos. Sound Barrier gets popped, and Enam is like, oh, go, 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 we got beat. And then he's like, oh, no, I'm the only support. Uh-oh. And just runs right into the orbital ray from Budgie. So 3.5 minutes for the Spartans going into the final phase of the map. And they have some resources here to really snowball Molly. This Grab and Bob could have some trouble here for Endicott.
Even just one of these is going to be really difficult to deal with. Endicott, though, doing what Endicott does best, initiating. Max gets knocked up by the robot butler of Average Gamer, and not your average gamer when it comes to aim, from what I'm watching right now. UNCG, and they have the tools, but that's just not the fight they're going to win.
Yeah, Endicott don't allow UNCG to set up. They will just pop the bomb early, and actually does find Max, who had to use a bubble early on, so didn't have a ton of bubbles to work with, and this is a nasty spot, but a very risky one from Kairos.
Yeah, trying to make it happen, but it's not really gonna get all that much. The Graviton Surge out of Cameroon are first, and UNCG, they're just not hitting any buttons. Endicott are going first, mainly because they know that they have the tools, and they don't want to get their opponent a chance to fight back.
And they're really starting to rotate these ultimates, Molly, because yeah, last fight they used the Bob, then they used the Grab. This next fight, they're going to have this Dragon Blade if the Spartans don't play this fast enough.
Yeah, but because there's not something to use immediately, UNCG should please hit a button. Please hit a button. Somebody hit a button. There we go. Tunnel Killer. That's my MVP right there. Chuck the Bob into the backline and put the Grab onto the Nano Genji. Eventually will burn through Gone, but he just held onto the Dragon Blade, knowing that's not a fight that was going to win. So UNCG, they used the 2 ultimates. Key point, holding onto the orbital ray for another fight.
Very heads up and very good heads up play there from Gone. Like, hey, I'm in Grab. I'm not gonna pop the split as much as I want to with the Nano. It's not worth it. Now they can at least play around the Sound Barrier here for Enam to move back in, but a very important fight here for UNCG, and they're gonna open up with the Ray.
The orbital ray is out, but here's that B blade that we've been hearing so much about. And that's 2, that's 3 now. We're Gone's Genji hitting the 4th. Everybody is sliced into pieces. A whole team kill single-handedly into the cans of Endicott's Genji.
Dude, that was nasty. Absolutely filthy. Who needs a Nano, right? When you got a Sound Barrier to work with.
Yeah.
Now UNCG just over a minute. They held on to the barrage, and they'll have this rally to kind of build up some health early on. But again, Kairos, this very risky spot. They're gonna get punished this time, I think.
There's no way he gets out of this alive. No, please don't die to the no shot. He gets a Mar, and I mean, yeah, he'll die eventually, but getting a Mar there, that's a ton less damage that Endicott have less to worry about. And the orbital ray is gone. UNCG were banking on that barrage to help get them through this slack section, and they're just in an awkward push of deciding whether to push or not, eventually end up retreating.
Yeah, they need that barrage to kind of start off this next fight. So they'll have to hold on, but Average Gamer now has this bomb, which is going to kind of dissuade this barrage even longer.
Time is not on your side if you're UNCG either. That is 23 seconds on the time bank. Thankfully, they're in a position that you can just cut away from the bomb, but Endicott are playing this so well. Max, is that off the map? If I saw that correctly, and yet there's another Graviton Surge online. Camerooner built these up so quickly, and Endicott College, they are not giving UNCG what they want to touch. I don't think it's gonna happen with how that speedy Nano Zarya is racing towards the spawn, and that time bank will whittle on down. UNCG stopped just short of a full completion.
So it's not a bad run here for UNC Greensboro, especially considering how Lijiang went. But yeah, definitely was feeling like they could have done better in the final phase, especially when they had 3.5 minutes going into it. But a nice stabilization there from Endicott to slow things down. And just like on Lijiang Tower, it took maybe a fight or two to kind of get back in their rhythm. They eventually ride it out near the end. And Endicott, again, they look great on this Zarya, and they're doing a much better job right now than Greensboro and rotating the ults, even though, man, Cairo, some of these angles, man, are a little risky.
It's playing with my heart here. I can tell you that. In good ways, hey, it's pretty cool. You flanked and you killed Pharah by yourself. W on a player. However, you're also like the main source of healing for your team. So if you're going to get away with some sort of shenanigans like that, you better make sure that it ends up counting. We'll see what Endicott end up doing on the attack, and we'll touch base on the support comp in a moment. But for now, UNCG on the defense, it is that Mauga that we saw banned away earlier on in Lijiang Tower. They really want to bunker down now in that front line so Tunnel Killer and Amar can have more of these angles.
Yeah, we were wondering when this Mauga was going to show up. We heard some rumors that, hey, the Mauga could be showing up here in some way, shape, or form. And of course, that gets banned map 1. Now it is here, and this is just damage, and more damage from Greensboro. As yeah, you have to deal with the Pharah in the air, a lot of dynamite tick damage from Tunnel Killer as well, and the burn damage from Max. It's good. Endicott have to play this really smart. And they're actually gonna stick on this Widow, and it almost pays off.
Yeah, Tunnel Killer actually just got real lucky there. That shot just wide. Max is currently in the spawns of Endicott at this time, which is not great, supposedly, but Average Gamer getting that pick on the way out. That means both supports of UNCG are currently dead, and Max is just kind of in the middle of the point. He's like, well, there's like a bunch of flies going around me. I have like a 2-inch long fly swatter that I can throw at him, so I'm just gonna run away, give up a tick or two, and eventually re-engage.
Yeah, Mar didn't have that luxury to get out. Gone, closed the gap real fast. And this Widow pick, they hold on and eventually finds the worth, and that'll end up being the end here of first phase. Yes, it'll be Max kind of going in, but due to a Bionade, and yeah, that was not going to last long, right? That was disgusting. But yeah, Endicott, dream scenario here to start off.
They get all of this free space, too. It's forcing UNCG to make swaps, and the stagger onto Budgie. With her going down, there's just not going to be a fast re-engage at all. And they're just fully living on the Average Gamer. Oh, I hit a shot of Widow. I'm going to stick it instead of taking my one shot and swapping.
I was like, hey, man, like, I know you want to snipe, too, but, like, come on. Heal your sniper a little bit here, if you could. But this is a beautiful start here for Endicott, and this is kind of what we feared for Greensboro. Like, once Endicott can get the pace going, it can be a dangerous situation. Max swaps over to the Zarya. That will trigger a swap from Camerooner. They're not even going to try this maybe one fight on the D.Va against the Zarya. They're just going to swap right away.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense. UNCG, though, fighting into the visor of Average Gamer. Yes, Tunnel Killer swapped to Mir, but why? Why would you do that? There's sights up. They can see you, Tunnel Killer, my dude. Oh, Endicott just fed a free pick. It is traded out on the other side. Gone a little too aggressive into the back line against the likes of the supports, but Cameroon has the nano to back it up. And man, this guy is zooming with that extra perk that Kairos has locked in. Bit of a messy fight, but that's going to favor Endicott any day of the week. So it's basically going to be last fight territory by the time UNCG regroup.
Yeah, Tunnel Killer a little bit tunnel visioned going into that fight. That was... Yeah, maybe they could tell they were probably just like, man, I shouldn't have done that. But this Widow v Widow, we don't see a lot of Widow 1v1s once we get through first phase. But hey, I'm all for it, man. It's the playoffs. Shoot your shot.
I mean, they're shooting their shots, but so far it's been Average Gamer, the one that's been hitting them. UNCG, they have a chance to touch. There's a Bionade out early, was nice on it too. Got the bubbles out, you know, like this is go time, go, go, go. We press the sound barrier, Amar bowled over, and without that, it's gonna be harder to stall on out. It is a 2 for 2. Graviton Surge is committed from UNCG, but they have like a quarter of a meter left remaining on this point, and even that, it's just not gonna be enough with how far away your supports have been zoned. 4.5 minutes, Jesse, plus some for Endicott College to get not even through the point.
Yeah, especially with that Kiriko being banned, Kairos is taking full advantage of it this entire series, and it's being an issue. Now, another set of swaps coming in here for the Spartans. Full on flank, that means AKA they're sick of Kairos and they're sick of Average Gamer. Something's got to be done with the two snipers, but you worry if it's a little bit too little too late.
Well, I mean, tunnel killer, that's tunnel vision paid off, I guess. You do get to the fight faster. It's just not really worth it. When there's a grab that Endicott can still use, it's that blade comboed into it. So it'll be 2 for gone. Make that a triple once more. Half this guy's kills are going to be Dragon Blades, I swear.
Yeah, at this point, it might be half, if not a third. A lot of the kills through the blade. Going his last fight, potentially, they got the Infrasight to set up. Nano to maybe go on to Cameruner once again. The one shining light could be this ray that almost doesn't get off.
Yeah, it's one big shining light if you look at it for too long, but even then, it's just not enough. Tunnel Killer, tunnel vision once more into the back line, and I just can't find a way to make it work. The Nano Boost is live and kicking, and I can't quite say the name for Max on this point. Cameruner continuing to microwave people down if they stand too close to him, which is Budgie in that particular instance. The golden box within the sightlines of Endicott College. One more map. They want to make sure that's all it's going to be to move through, but these respawns from UNCG are coming in fast. The pulse bomb is there, and Max is back on the point. Endicott, they ran out of juice just short of the finish line here, and it'll be UNCG holding on here longer.
Okay, and the fact that they had to get out sound barrier as well.
Yeah.
From Enom near the end, that's a massive fight win here for the Spartans to give themselves a chance, because now they have this Grav Blade combo going into this next fight. With that sound barrier gone, there is no counter from Endicott. So if they can win this fight, hey, maybe a chance here for the Spartans to mount a comeback.
You would think that Max got to stay alive, getting below a quarter HP there. Both bubbles expended. But the Graviton Surge is ready to go. Will land onto 3. That'll be fight ended as soon as it started. Endicott back spawns.
Yeah, and they will stagger out Enom as well. So that'll draw a little bit more time, Average Gamer. Now, consider how much they've been getting. Dove will make over and go to the swap on the Cassidy. Honestly, I don't blame him whatsoever. I have been in that kind of situation. You get sick of it at some point. Blade's still available here for Premier. Oh, no!
But it's slipping Total Killer, not onto Amar. Amar's blade is still ready to go here. It'll help slice his way through too. Both supports are down. That looked scary at first, but Total Killer, just the sacrifice, just the carrot dangling over Endicott's head before the real threat struck.
I just saw a little squishy flaker, and I'm thinking, oh no, not again, not again. But yeah, great blade there from Amar. But yeah, even though Tunnel Killer is the sacrifice, now they have the Pulse Bomb. And again, this is starting to get real here. Only a minute and a half remaining here for Endicott.
Real sure, but I see a Graviton Surge and no sound barrier. It's not looking good for UNCG as quickly as Max and Tunnel Killer bursted down. It's a 5v3 in with a blade, and now out of it, sheath for gone. Might not find any final blows, and the Rage Axe to close it off. UNCG on their last limbs. They're pulling out the Boostio to keep people out of spawns, and maybe it's something you can take advantage of, but if Mars already dead, the Ajax too!
Oh,
no!
My God.
UNCG, it's all going wrong in the last fight. The Lucio gets 2. Oh my goodness, Endicott College, what a way to put an end to King's Row. They're up to match point. One more map, and they're moving on to the finals.
It's not often you get a Rage Axe, a Boostio, and an Ajax within, what, 20 seconds?
Yeah.
Like, it's a wild timeline we're in here in Division 3 semifinals. But Endicott, again, they get pushed a little bit here by UNC Greensboro. But Gone, I will say, had a phenomenal performance on the Genji, especially with these blades. Always was very efficient with making sure they knew exactly when to go in and when to pop that deflect to kind of live just that a little bit longer. Fantastic play overall from Endicott, and now it is a reverse sweep that is needed here from Greensboro to keep their playoff hopes alive.
It's going to be a tough one, especially in the type of game that we have been playing so far. It's been very lights out, Endicott push where they want to push, and if UNCG have the resources to act first, they'll do it. But as soon as they don't, Jesse, it's so difficult to keep up with this pace that Endicott has been setting.
Yeah, Endicott is like, hey, 100%, go, 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 go. Unless there's a big ultimate use from Greensboro, and they're like, hey, we're going to back up. Like, we're going to put on the brake lights. We're just going to back up for a little bit. And that's a fantastic trait to have. Knowing when, as much as you want to play incredibly quick, knowing when you have to slow it down because you don't want to play into the counter punch on the other side. But now you wonder, what is the play call here for the Spartans? Obviously, control and hybrid are gone as options. We're going to give them a little bit of time here. We're going to go on a quick break. We'll see if Greensboro can bring us to a map 4, or if Endicott will sweep their way into the finals.
Division 3 semifinals are flying by rather fast here for the East region, and you gotta say, Jesse, it's starting to get a little bit scary for UNCG. Endicott up 2-0 and have been in control of the pacing 90% of the time out of the fights that we have seen taken. Now it's up to UNCG to pick up map and have a set of bans that'll get them on the path for a reverse sweep. Otherwise, their season will end here.
Yeah, let's see if Greensboro got a few extra wild cards to play here to keep their dreams alive. It is their map pick and first ban once again here in map 3. Push, Flashpoint, and well, we won't have to worry about Escort because it's we're getting really the collegiate special here. Lijiang into Kings Row, into Suravasa. Great, the Suravasa is a phenomenal map. So, like, no complaints here. New Junk City, even with the rework, like, I don't know, man. That one Flashpoint that's like the inside.
You don't know the Flashpoint names?
No.
Jesse!
No. I'm a horrible caster. I know.
I know. You're the color caster. You're supposed to know these things, man.
Dude, I'm learning metas, not Flashpoints.
Well, speaking of meta, Juno typically wasn't on our list for a meta pick, but because of how much UNCG did play it in map number 2, that is going to be the Endicott ban in response to the Diva being taken away. The Diva makes a ton of sense. Cameruner, I think, had a much better pacing on that, and Suravasa as a whole can lead more dive-centric if that's where you choose.
Cameruner, are we good? It's Are we? I was say, like, I know, like, you guys have been throwing out some interesting comps tonight. I don't know if the Roadhog is it though. UNCG again, they've been showing this. They want to run this kind of fast-paced dive, but it's been countered out every single time by Endicott. We'll see here if this Winston variant of this comp with the Somber Tracer will work out instead. Endicott maybe not expecting it, considering the Diva has been banned out. But let's see here. Honestly, this Cameruner Zarya has just been so good today.
Yeah, I see pain in Max's future. Not only because of Cameruner, but mainly because Gone can just walk up as a Reaper into a Winston, which is not fun. And then you have a Zarya on top of it. Plus, Tunnel Killer is already dead. Instant turn and burn on to the Winston. Cameruner never overstepping his bounds. Nice secondary fire, too, to finish off Visor and UNCG far and away from getting the first cap.
Yeah, the gamble did not necessarily work that time for Greensboro. It's going to be weird here because Gone will be looking at Max the entire time. Like, oh, giant target that doesn't have the best escape in the world? Yeah, I'm jumping on that. So Max, like you can tell, has to play super passive because if they take one little misstep and Budgie can't see them, it's going to be a wrap.
It's just overall not going to be a good time to get to this point, which is why you're really relying on Hamilton
and
to set up these flanks. Or in this case, Vice Verity on the Lucio will get the Reaper away, but he just doesn't respect the damage that's output by Average Gamer. And because of that, the Winston's dead. Lucio doesn't have that much better of luck in Endicott College. They're going to keep their control and even have a stagger out on Hamilton if they're not careful.
The fact Hamilton lives there, actually some great heals. From Budgie. She keeps up her Sabra and keeps up the potential touch here to start the overtime. But this Winston has now worked so far. Cameruner, all they really had to do is kind of posture. They haven't really had to do a whole lot more else in the front line. It's been the DPS doing the work.
This has been all Average Gamer and Gone so far. It's Cameroon, of course, empowering them, giving them the space and just the consistency. UNCG, they have this fast comp, and in long fights like this, if it gets scrappy, it can work. Killer coming up with a couple because of Budgie's Kitsune Rush. It's the red carpet laid down. Killer dodging and weaving. Just some fancy footwork to get away from Average Gamer.
Oh my god, they fell.
That much
Oh my god.
Has to get back to the point. It's the final kill, and has Max on the wrecking ball to keep the touch going. It was close, but UNCG, it won't be a shutout. Point one.
Man, I thought Lijiang was painful. If they lost that flashpoint there, that was, it was gonna be deja vu. Yeah, Hamilton makes sure the touch continues, but now Max is stuck in a really weird spot. Near the spawn of Endicott, they're gonna just get pushed away.
Yeah, and because of these Kitsune Rush, and there's no tank to stop him, it would have been bad if Killer didn't one-clip Average Gamer just now. So Endicott being down the DPS and the EMP online here. So far away from the team is Yunam. Yeah, no, not a sound barrier to come through again. It's close to another C9. Really stresses me out with these last pushes here, but Max will make sure that this point will remain contested for the time being. UNCG know that Endicott have a ton of resources, but they're just not opting to use them. Seeing how many players are coming back. Because Endicott got the flip though, Jesse, it's not going to be all that much gain for UNCG after all.
Yeah, because of that flip, it's massive. It gives Endicott a complete full fight. They don't have to rush this at all. And again, they have the Death Blossom and the grab. And if they needed the sound barrier, they have plenty of resources available here to win the first flashpoint. But if Tunnel Killer lands a nice pulse bomb here, and if the Suzu's not able to land, that can ruin that entire plan.
Well, there's a Suzu, there's a bubble, there's a roll, there's a raid. There's so many ways this pulse bomb could go wrong, but it's gone even worse for Visor. Graviton Surge was laid onto him. Didn't think using the sound barrier there was a safe idea. I agree with that decision. UNCG, they got close, but Endicott at the end of the day had the better ult management. The same story we've been telling throughout this series, and will get themselves Market to start.
Yeah, Market goes the way to Endicott, and now they will have a nice little easy rotation over to the second flashpoint, and I believe, I haven't got to see where Greensboro is yet. That was their spawn side, so they haven't, yeah, they got here pretty early too. So Tunnel Killer didn't get to use that pulse bomb last fight, looking for it this time around, even though both sound barriers still on the board.
Which is pretty shocking, considering how these fights have gone. And to be totally honest, I think UNCG's will be more of a tempo ult, or just to match Yanam's, based on how we've been seeing so far. Tunnel Killer, though, saw the opportunity to throw the pulse bomb with the sound barrier. It will deter him a little bit longer. We'll support ult from UNCG. But the overhealth gets away from Visor faster than Endicott, although it is a pretty scrappy fight, because UNCG's comp, it's faster. It has a lot more uptime. They're going to move straight away from this Deadeye, not too worried about getting caught out. They can easily come back in for this hacked recontest to Average Gamer, the main target. Great Suzu from Kairos to keep him on his feet. And they got that first cap, so UNCG, they're just fighting for control.
Yeah, and they should be able to get it. Enam in a very weird spot. They're just going to rotate back to their Zarya and Reaper, and there's no guarantee even that all of them get out, but it looks like, yeah, the Spartans will back up. A nice little 20% for Endicott, but UNCG overall win the fight. And they still have this Kitsune Rush now to pair with this EMP. Going into this next fight, Gone, yes, probably looking for a Bubble Blossom, but it's going to be really tricky, especially if the rush is used early.
But gee, it's a good chunk of health taken out of her, but we'll get healed up eventually. Can't quite say the Camerooner, though. Max and Tunnel Killer using their speed to their advantage, mowing down two important targets on Endicott. So their competition is going to fall over. I won't get to see the Death Blossom just yet.
Yeah, this Death Blossom is just going to be so rough to use because everybody has such high movement as well. You almost need to solo ult somebody or like catch Hamilton in a weird spot in one of these TPs, which they actually do, and Hamilton has to fully retreat, and no, this will create a little bit of an awkward spot for the EMP.
Looking for it, lands onto 3. The pillar, not enough to protect Yunam. 2 instantly set 6 feet under. Great initiation from UNCG. It's what we've been saying. Endicott has been doing so well throughout this entire series. UNCG, they figured it out, and they're saying, have a taste of your own medicine. We're tied up, 1-1.
Yeah, this ball comp, it's getting going now once we get into these flashpoints that are a little bit more wide open. Camerooner, they kind of just get stuck. They're like, hey, we got to bubble our teammates, but there's not much else they can really do. There's no squishies typically that are even in their range for more than a second. So I wonder once this grab gets used, if there is a swap coming here for Endicott. But time will tell. This minefield probably being used early here from Max. Just defend people off the point, but Hamilton's gone.
Max might be able to get away, but not Visor. That's just going to get shredded by Gone, swapping over to the Tracer, and already having a much better time than he was on the Reaper. Endicott will get themselves the first cap of a nice grab.
Yeah, nice early grab, especially when the flashpoint takes so much longer. It's still a long time until it was going to open up. They're hunting Tunnel Killer. Tunnel Killer almost kills themselves with the pulse. And now they're just going to fully back out because the fight is starting to begin on point.
Yeah, it's a 4v3 because Unam ended up going with Gone on that little tangent. You're down a player. It's only that Deadeye that will make sure UNCG can't stay on this point longer, even with the minefield there. A nice boop onto Unam to make sure the Lucio's dead, but yeah, Endicott, they just had the better control over the objective. It's hard for UNCG to push.
Yeah, a little bit tricky there for them to push in, and yeah, still one fight away now for Endicott to get one flashpoint away from sweeping this series, and they still have the Kitsune Rush to use. Max just trying to fling around, see if they can find any sort of displacement, but Endicott playing pretty passive until Greensboro commits.
Endicott, at this point, is pretty solidly there. They have the better tools to work with here. It's really just up to the sound barrier that Visor has to work with. They're going to need it a little sooner than you wanted with how low Max got chipped by just face tanking the entire front line of Endicott. But it's going to pay to his advantage because he took all of those resources. Tamako and Hamilton worked their way into the back line, picked off both the supports, and the rest of the team will shortly fall with them.
Yeah, it's just Gone left alone, and not much you can do in a 1v3. So Greensboro, they get the flip at 99%, but still a very long ways to go if they want to gain Flashpoint 3. And yes, they have their Kitsune Rush. You know, it didn't necessarily work out that great for Endicott last time. They got ran on by Beat. And now the opposite could happen, right? Enam has the beat of their own, and they can just run over Premier and run over Greensboro when this Kitsune Rush is used.
Tunnel Killer scares me sometimes, but then he does cool things like this, where he links up with the Sombra and takes out God. That's what I want to see. It's sketchy until it's not. UNCG, they just think further ahead than we can see. That is a clean fight win, only needing the Kitsune Rush.
And Enam, he has to live here. Like, he just has to. Suzu used a beautiful stick!
Perfect. And that's going to guarantee that the Kiriko's not there for the final fight either.
Yep.
UNCG should just get that point, maybe? It might be
well, I don't know. They could speed in. If Gone is able to get a quick touch, then they should be able to get in, but Max is going to make that as difficult as possible.
The Suzu's already out, too, so Endicott, not a super happy team at the immediate moment, did manage to flip the map, you know, so I care. That was Ajax territory, but thankfully, he'll hit the ground, and so will the backline of UNCG. The EMP was canceled. Hamilton never had the opportunity to pull it out.
What?
Endicott, we're going to use that for advantage. Average Gamer just walked into a minefield. UNCG, are they going to win this just because of that? There's no way, Endicott. They had everything going their favor. A great touch, a great use of the sound barrier just for the cast to waddle into a mine. Oh no, UNCG. They're going to get themselves to the point. One more, and they get their map.
Whoops. That's a little bit of a whoops. I will say earlier in that fight, they don't have the Suzu because of the fact the beat lands late. Because of the fact that Enam got in that Ajax territory, they get lifted so far up. If they used it on normal ground, they would have landed before Kairos died, but because they get lifted up, the Kiriko dies, no Suzu for the cast, and no Deadeye, and that means lost Flashpoint.
Endicott, though, they're in a much better position on this point. Cameroon on the Junker Queen can do more, but you're a ton more vulnerable, as we just saw. Hamilton, Tunnel Killer, they're just going to swarm around you like these little bees that we've been seeing. And it's such a problem. No, Max! Right back with the pulse bomb into Visor. What in the world are these fights? UNCG, they had it, but a nice stick from Gone, and it's just over.
Yeah, that pulse bomb is just the icing on the cake. For Endicott, which, man, these fights are just a little chaotic, and I get it. We got, like, the epitome of a chaos comp here for Greensboro, but, man, that was a little all over the place, and now Gone. They're out for blood. They're trying to look for more, but Tunnel Killer is maybe not the tracer you want to go after right now.
I think he's been got one too many times by either Hamilton or Visor appearing out of nowhere. So that makes sense. EMP is out. It was solo onto Cameruner and it was instantly cleansed. So that ultimate might as well have not existed in the first place for UNCG. Average Gamer is back on the high ground, just kind of vibing up here. Peels Visor off of the wall, and UNCG Premier, you just go away. You're not going to win that fight. Save your ults for one final touch.
Yeah, gotta make sure you die early enough where you're not like at an absolute race to get over the point, but still going to be a little bit awkward, especially because Tunnel Killer has been caught, but it looks like for now they're going to be safe, but out of the fight.
Yeah, and again, he did manage to pull 2 players away towards him, which can help, at least in entering the fight. The sound barrier, great timing. The hack, Average Gamer, yeah, it kind of goes in and make sure the Deadeye will get the final shot up in the minefield again. Everybody just drops on into it. Fantastic play out of Max. Area denied, and Zoe's the final point capture. UNCG want to take it here.
That was great coordination. Like, you throw the pulse bomb, they're going to back up, boop into the minefield, gets lifted up. Like, that was, well, great, it is holy CC, but also, like, a beautiful combination. My one worry is, Molly, they used everything. Like, they used everything at their disposal, and now there could be the counterpunch from Endicott.
Well, unless that's a great bit of initiation there, but 2 for 1, not great. Not what UNCG we're looking for. The Rampage, less than ideal. It lands on a Hamilton, though, but who didn't have a translocator to get away. So Endicott actually managed to make that work thanks to the help of Cameroon. Max is here, stalling out a bit of time, and actually could buy some space for Thunder Killer to come on back. I believe I hear Visor working around the corner as well. I just don't know for UNCG that it's a good idea to commit, and you're really just not going to be able to. Endicott will shut that down almost instantaneously, and will push us to the 5th flashpoint.
Yeah, going to the final flashpoint here in map 3 to decide if we're going to take this series any further. And Greensboro hoping that will be the case, but again, no real ultimates early on to really make that a reality. As Endicott, they have the beat advantage, and they will have the rush advantage. Budgie, she's only halfway to her, so Endicott, they'll just split over, up by a point, and try not to give this Tracer a free 1v1.
Yeah, great pile drive. They'll get the Suzu out early, but Hamilton caught out by Cameruner, who's been really good at just running at these backline targets when they are least mobile, which is hard to do with the UNCG's Premier's comp. With the 1 pick, we'll go ahead and do it. No shiny buttons, just a cap.
Yeah, and that's maybe the scariest thing. No shiny buttons needed that time around, but at least for Greensboro, you're starting to get one of your own, but they're starting to really find it difficult to really get any of these players in an isolated spot.
Well, the minefield will definitely help with that. It actually completely zones Cameroon away from the rest of the team, left up to the Virus for his own demise in UNCG. And that's all they're going to end up needing from what it looks like, and based on the numbers. Decent amount of stall, though, to get about half the point for Endicott.
Yeah, half the point for, and honestly for Greensboro. You save EMP, you save the pulse bomb. It's not too bad of a fight, because you know Max is going to build another minefield probably by the end of this map. You can see they're playing extremely aggressive. They do not want Endicott to have any sort of set play.
No, and this is where Endicott were able to win their last point, is by initiating first. The EMP, it's solid, but with the Suzu from Kairos is even better, and nobody actually gets the lasting effects of it. Average Gamer, look at this guy, he's zooming. Visor saw his life flash before his eyes, trying to get out, but that silver bullet tick damage. Oh, he'll stay alive with like 2 HP to spare. But Endicott, they got themselves towards the objective. In fact, they capped it before any eliminations came through. As of course, after Visor Daddy and Tunnel Killer were taken care of. So Endicott, they're looking to keep that control as long as they can, because UNCG, they don't have a ton of resources to work with, Jesse.
No, they really don't. They'll have the sound barrier to initiate, but Endicott have one to answer. So it's really going to be trying to take every single advantage possible and trying to find that first pick using this beat. But you cannot let Max die early.
He'll live, but not with a ton of health. This isn't going to be a very long touch unless these sound barriers come into play. Both used instantaneously, but Cameruner, this is his chance to strike. Finds Budgie hot off guard, and there's the Rampage, which is the nail in the coffin for UNCG. Endicott keeping up their undefeated run and will find themselves in the Division 3 East Finals.
Yeah, Greensboro, they give up a good fight, but Endicott, they will continue their undefeated run. Now 9-0 here on the season. They will book their spot in the grand final here for Division 3 East Division. And overall, just fantastic across the board. And the other semifinal we're waiting on, New Haven up 1-0. So maybe a little bit of a rematch here in the final. But no, a fantastic performance across the board here. And honestly, Endicott, they had maybe a few moments here and there where this chaos comp, yeah, it kind of frustrated them. They got a little bit lost. But overall, their coordination and ult cycles were just perfect.
This team, at a macro perspective, is one of the best that you're going to find in Division 3 after watching this game. We've casted quite a bit in Division 3 this season, too. It was really impressive to see the discipline that this team has, and they're committing all together. It's either we do great things all together or we die all together. Like, that is the kind of unity that we're seeing from this team, and at its core, it's going to elevate your gameplay so much. It's great if you have individual carries, but when you're able to unite on the level that we're seeing from Endicott, it's going to get you places. And in this instance, it will be those Division 3 East Grand Finals.
Yeah, overall, just again, a fantastic season. And hey, they'll be looking to cap it off once we get out of Thanksgiving break. For Greensboro, top 4, maybe not exactly what you were looking for, but honestly, still a semester they can really build on now as we get ready for the spring and they can enjoy their holiday break. But yeah, Endicott, we got a little bit of time now. They'll get to sit back, watch OWCS Stockholm, maybe get a few more strats going. But overall, this team, super scary for whoever they play in that final.
Yeah, and they're sticking to their guns for the time being, too. It was very rare that we saw a team swap, and because they're undefeated, that is a final that I'm going to be keeping an eyeball on, even if it isn't on our main broadcast. I'm at least going to, bare minimum, going to be checking the result or the individual schools' broadcast pages, because that'll be a good one for Scherzies.
Oh, yeah, and before we, we're going to have a little bit of a break here before we get to our Division 9 showcase, which, if you can't tell, we're excited about it here.
It's going to be great.
In the booth. We got to thank one of our sponsors here. Quick by Blue Light Gamers. Your eyes take a beating out there, and, sometimes you need a little bit of help. By Blue Light has you covered. Their premium blue light glasses help you keep your sharp, focused, and ready for victory without the eye strain that comes with looking at a screen all the time. Level up your game and protect your vision. Check them out, By Blue Light today, the official eye care partner of NECC at buybluelight.com. And honestly, for us, I've honestly considered buying it a lot because, we're here. We're doing this a lot, talking to a screen. It can get a little bit harsh on the eyes, so make sure to check them out.
It is, and we both already wear glasses, so I mean,
you might as well.
Not a bad change there. So we could all use to protect our vision looking at a computer and playing some games, or in our case, yapping about some games. We are going to go ahead and give our voices a rest and give a little bit of time for our next match to be set and ready. It'll be ready at approximately 10 p.m. EST, and on the West Coast, that'll be 7 p.m. Pacific time. So we'll see you in a little under an hour for our Division 9 semifinal.